We've been listening to Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky address the French Parliament, briefly speaking in English, in French. The majority of his speech in Ukrainian, though, as he said, Europe is no longer a continent of peace. Unfortunately, we're living at a time when towns are being destroyed, when a country's right to exist is being challenged. Let's get some reaction from our international desk. Andrew Hilliar joining me on the set. Hello to you, Andrew. Volodymyr Zelensky welcomed with a standing ovation. He received one there again as he left the podium. What were the main takeaways for you from his speech?
Yeah, I mean, as you just mentioned, there are several standing ovations, and one still ongoing as we talk. Of course, he thanked, we heard throughout that speech several times consistently thanking France for its continued support in its war effort against Russia. Volodymyr Zelensky started out, I think, by really situating himself with other world leaders on the beaches of Normandy to really kind of link in what those D-Day commemorations were about the symbolism, about the stories of Allied heroism, linking it consistently throughout his speech to his country's present-day struggle against Vladimir Putin and Russia. He said, without victory over the Nazis, our continent would be a black spot. So, of course, this was not just about evoking pure nostalgia for Volodymyr Zelensky. It was about tying it in to the present. He talked about our Europe. I think what he was doing throughout this speech was looking these lawmakers in the eyes and saying, look, like you, I'm European, and like France, like the people of France 80 years ago. My people are also fighting for their freedom against another aggressor. So there was this sense of duty and common purpose. And he also talked about this sense of obligation that came after World War II to maintain peace in Europe. Again, as I mentioned there, tying it into the present day.
Yeah, there's one moment he said, today Ukraine, tomorrow it could be other countries.
Exactly, and that's a rhetorical strategy he kept employing throughout his speech. He said that now Ukraine is being attacked. He said, if you don't stop Russia now, you could be next. He specifically mentioned Poland, the Baltic states, for example. He talked about how the battle for Ukraine was an existential battle, just like it was for the people of France 80 years ago. And he also talked about the 1930s as well. He warned against the policy of appeasement because he said that Vladimir Putin, like Hitler did in the 1930s, wouldn't stop at Ukraine. He would go further, as I mentioned there, perhaps moving on to attack countries like EU countries like Poland. And he made the point that supporting Ukraine logistically with military support is not just in the interest of Ukrainians, it's in the interest of Europeans and in the interest of freedom-loving people around the world. And at one point also mentioning that he hoped that the jets that he had seen in the skies of Normandy would soon be seen in the skies of Ukraine. Of course, that a reference to the fact that we know that NATO allies have pledged to give around 80 F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. They should be delivered by the end of the year. And also that coming on off the back of Emmanuel Macron's pledge last night to give Ukraine Mirage fighter jets as well.
And Andy, can you bring us up to speed on the current fighting in Ukraine? What is the focus of the fighting right at the moment?
Well, I think the timing of this visit is very important for Volodymyr Zelensky because it comes not just on the back of those D-Day commemorations, but also as Russia makes significant gains. Particularly, we saw over the last few months those surprise gains it made when it opened a new front around the city of Kharkiv. And that's what's got the Ukrainians worried because the Russians have been resorting to the use of these so-called glide bombs, which cause massive destruction. There is fear that if Ukraine's Western allies don't get more military support to the front line, that Russian forces could come within artillery range of cities like Kharkiv. That's Ukraine's second city. And if they do that, that could open up the city for a potential Russian assault, something that Ukraine wants to avoid at all costs.
All right, Andrew. Thank you very much. Andrew Hilliar